Hello everybody, my name is SpyPie and this is SpyPie Gaming TV. If you are just tuning in, this is a brand new build for the Nightblade. Um, so there's going to be a healer build as well. The thing that this is most good at, however, is not necessarily being the best, most potent healer. What this is your best, like, dungeon healer. This is your best friend because he has, well, not only a staff, but sword and shield. He's able to be defensive at the same time as healing, and this is one of those mixed builds that you've been seeing a lot of more on the channel, but this is a healer tank. Does it work? Well, I think it does, and I'd like to get into why I think it does. First off, we're going to start out with actually nothing to do with the build and just the collections tab here and the outfit style, what I'm wearing. Um, this is a this is all on the PTS for anyone who is curious, but this is actually done with a this is actually all on the PTS, however, I've reconstructed the outfit that I wear on the live servers. I even have the Mace of Molag Ball. Um, so here we go. We have the Steadfast Society Shield, Mace of Molag Ball, Dawn's Avengers Gauntlets, High Rock Spell Sword Apollets, High Rock Spell Sword Robe, as well as Night Aspirin Girdle, Nordcard Sabatons, and to finish things off, the Celestial Helmet. And for the back bar on the staff, we have the Apostle Staff, which I'll show you really quickly what it looks like. I really like it. I think it fits with the look and feel of this character. For the colors I've picked actually is Bloodroot Wine. I've picked this color for many of my builds. I think it really goes well with the High Rock Spellsword chest piece specifically, as well as the helmet to a lesser extent. And for the other color is rank 8 material color if anyone's interested. If you get these by essentially becoming a crafter. And if you've crafted your way up to, finishing out at least one or two of them, I think you'll probably have probably rank 8 by now. All right, so moving completely away from all of that, we're going to actually jump into what this build, well, what it carries. We're going to start out with Rapid Regeneration. Share your staff's life-giving energy, healing you or a nearby ally for 12,000 health over 5 seconds. The healing is increased up to 50% for targets under 100% health. This is your fast dot. You're going to be applying this out constantly, and it's cheap too. This thing is fantastic for people who don't have things in their build in their class that can build around healing. Nightblade has that. But rapid regeneration is so universal that it fits into every healing build. This is why you need a resto staff to heal, and this is also why, I pick up a resto staff on this character, because you can't go without some of these healing abilities, and we're going to get into more why. So regeneration, remember, is from the resto staff skill line, and it's phenomenal. Moving forward, we have Healthy Offering. This is one of those Nightblade heals, right? This is an upfront 12,000 health, right? Whereas this is over 5 seconds. So if you're really looking at your tank and he's going down, down, hit this on him. As well as when you hit this, he'll also grant minor mending for 10 seconds, which increases your healing done by 8%. Now, it also drains 1,000 health from you over 3 seconds and costs mana. So it's not like you can get out of, mana or health. You really will have to use this at some point when your tank's low, when your DPS is low. I've had to save Jack multiple times by spamming this ability. And with this build, you can. Because we've built into defense. We've built into being heavily armored with a lot of health, and this is why we pick up Healthy Offering, because we don't care about how much life we're sacking. We have plenty of it, and we're going to be using it constantly with this ability here. And this ability comes out of the Siphoning skill line. Healthy Offering, I think, is better than Shrewd Offering. It depends on what kind of build you're going for as well, but both of them are great options here. Next in the line is Illustrious Healing. This is your AoE. This is your big AoE. It's 28,500 health over 20 seconds, and 28 meter or sorry, 8 meter big, you know, boom. Look, see, you just stand in that, and that just covers your ground heal. It's simple and easy. I love having this up. And for those downtimes in between, if you're running low on mana or, you're constantly going from fight to fight, the next ability we're going to get into comes from the same place, which is the Restoration Staff, and is even more powerful, I think. This is Siphon Spirit, right? And Siphon Spirit is a single enemy, instant cast, 28 range, duration of 30 seconds. And what it does is it steals life. It's a minor life steal and minor Magicka steal. And because we have a sword and shield, Magicka steal is great. This will help us continue to recover our resources as we're running through, as we're going through, long-winded gauntlet fights. We're going through a lot of enemies. Things are getting kind of dicey. Throw this on everything you see. Put this up first, and you will see a change dramatically in the healing and the potential of your damage dealers, especially if they're Magicka or have Magicka abilities. This is a utility for not only healing, but also for everyone else. This is everyone benefits. 700 health every second. That's essentially, if you think about it, 1400 extra health recovery, as well as 300 extra health recovery, because recovery stats come back in 2 seconds, whereas this, all you have to do is hit them every second, and you get it. Next in line is Combat Prayer, which also comes from the Restoration Staff. Um, this is just damage. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? It says that it heals. It does. It's 9,302 health. But the bottom part's the most important part. It's minor berserk, minor resolve, which increases your allies' damage done by 5% and gives them 3,000 more armor while you put it on them for 10 seconds. This is great for your damage dealers, especially with, if anyone's seen on our channel, the red mage build that Jack has. Some of these things get very dicey, and if your DPS are really, really just wanting to slam, this will help them. This will help them do damage, but it will also help them stay alive when they roll into the big fire, right? Us healers, we know what that's like when your DPS is standing in the fire. Well, like, this will shove them in. This will say, all right, look, you have extra damage, you have extra armor, you have no reason to be standing anywhere. Go hit something. That's what it is. It's your mark an enemy. Now, Life Giver. All right. This is, of course, from the Restoration's skill line. You can even see it at the top there as well. This is a great one. I like Life Giver better than the other morph just because whenever you activate this ability, you cast Regeneration, Blessing of Protection, and Steadfast Ward at 0 cost. And it'll take your morphs. So, because we've taken this here and we've decided that we want to use this, the morphs we've chose for Ward is Ward Ally. We'll get into why that is more when we get into the CP, but having a damage shield on this character at most times is going to be very important. And you're going to have a few different ways of proccing one, but we don't actually have a damage shield on our bar. But you're going to see why later that actually comes into helping us later. But this here is one that always protects you and another person, and the shield strength is increased up to 100% based on, well, how mangled they are. I think this is just one of the best, like, ultimates in the game. Honestly, it covers all the bases. It does upfront healing. It's 10,000 health every second for 5 seconds. This has saved so many groups for me. And not only save them, but whenever they come back to the fight and they're feeling good, they have plenty of extra healing and damage to go around, and they're bubbled. Alright, so moving forward to the back bar, this is the Sword and Shield, right? So you're like, alright, why Sword and Shield? You may be asking that at this point, and it actually makes sense. We're going to get into it, though. Funnel Health is the first one on our thing here, and it is a siphoning ability. from the Nightblade class, right? Steal an enemy's life force, dealing 4,000 magic damage and healing you and up to two nearby allies. Sorry, it took me a second to say that. For 61% of the damage inflicted every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. Now this can crit. This can crit. And if it crits, it's going to deal whatever your crit damage is more, which will mean more healing. With that, I would like to say, before we even go any farther, if you want to guarantee crits, don't take Dark Cloak. Take the other invisibility one. It will guarantee a crit on your next damage ability. We have Dark Cloak on this build, but we don't always use it. The only time I use this is in stuff like Scale Caller, or in Ruins of Marsalok, or in whenever we're doing Balrog, right? Whenever we're really in the mix of things, I wear this and I use this constantly. That's actually why we're wearing all heavy armor, so that whenever we use it, or this one as well, Refreshing Path, which we'll get into, we will get an extra 175% bonus, which is a 6.5 seconds of 6,000 extra physical and spell resistance. This helps this build reach new highs you've never seen before, and actually even touch armor cap. So Dark Cloak here is great if you're really, really feeling like you're in a dangerous position, right? But if you want to use Funnel Health to essentially its maximum potential, take the invisibility that grants you a crit, and you'll see some very, very good numbers from this ability. However, on its own, it's passive healing, and you're always going to be in combat with something to hit, so put it on something and then put it on another thing, and like, don't spam it though. Don't use this as damage. This is not damage. All right? And honestly, this whole build is not really damage focused. You have damage, but your damage comes more from boosting your party than from yourself, really. Like, you're going to see better results in using these abilities the proper way than most other builds would. I mean, you can slash, all the time if you want, on a dual wield build, and you'll do good damage. But this here, it's very particular. You want to use the abilities how they're meant to be used, and you want to really get the most potential out of every one of them. So that being said, we're going to move forward, and we're going to jump into, well, our first ability and our only ability for the one-handed and shield. Took me a second to find it there, but couldn't see it. Deep Slash. Surprise an enemy with a sweeping lunge. We're going to deal 4,800 physical damage to them and all of their nearby enemies. You reduce their movement speed by 30%. That's great. You also get minor maim, reducing their damage done by 5% for 12 seconds. As a healer, sometimes your job isn't necessarily fixing damage done, but it can also be used to stop damage from being done, right? You don't always have to heal it. You can slow the bleed. This is a great ability for that. It's actually really our only major stamina usage, so you can spam this thing constantly. Um, just make sure that you have enough stamina whenever you're playing to continue to use guard, because that's a very big crux of this build, and we're going to get into why here in just a moment. So next on the line is Sapping Essence. This here comes from your siphoning as a Nightblade. You siphon the vigor from your enemy's blood. This has a duration of 30 seconds, but it only deals damage initially. It deals 4,600 magic damage to all nearby enemies and heals you and allies for 2,000 plus 20% for each enemy hit. You also grant major brutality and sorcery to yourself, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 20%, which is how damage and healing are calculated. So brutality is good for you. This is a healer that's going to be next to the tank, so having this, it's an easy way of proccing it. It also does a lot of healing, and it does just a ton of damage whenever your tank is able to really ball up all the enemies, as well as you might be able to in this kind of state where you definitely have more armor and defensives than most healers will. So grab as many enemies as possible. You're going to slow them down and you're going to reduce their damage and then just sap essence. And you will watch them drop. It is fun and engaging, but it's very methodical. So we're going to keep going on. Now, next is guard. This is the only real, like, different thing on this build, and I'm going to go into it. Firstly, we're wearing a set that's going to boost this, and we're going to get into that literally right after this. But um, or sorry, not right after this, after CP. So we're gonna get into that just in a real close minute. All right, so like hold with me. If you're not used to using guard, it can be a little bit tricky at first. Firstly, you have to target an enemy, which ESO's targeting is not, or sorry, not an enemy, an ally, and ESO's targeting is not all the way there, right? Sometimes you press a heal and it goes to a different guy than you thought it would because it goes to the one who's damaged first, and that's not always the one who needs the most healing. And anyway, ESO's healing can be complicated enough whenever you have to, pick a target. So this is why you're going to be up front with them, right? You're going to be nearby all your people. You're going to be with them. You're not going to be in the back. You're going to be standing as close as possible. Now, while bonded, 30% of the damage they take is redistributed to you. Now, I've done the math on it, and I don't think, personally, I don't think that Stalwart Guard or the other guard takes in your armor when it's calculated and it hits you. I'm not sure. If I'm wrong about that, please do put that in the comments and I'll highlight the post. But still, I don't think it does. So if your tank is just, I mean, like wet paper, right? And he gets hit, you're going to take 30% of that wet paper damage, even though you have armor cap. And I'm not exactly sure, but that's how it seems. Because, damn, man, some of these things can really hurt. But you're not even going to be putting this on the tank a lot. Then that's going to be strange to you because whenever you do this, you're going to put minor force, increasing your crit damage by 10% on you and the bonded ally. Fantastic. I mean, put this on your highest DPS. Really. Like, seriously. Put this on the DPS who does the best damage, but also put it on the one that's a little bit reckless. And somehow, just maybe a little bit, those seem to counteract a little bit, right? Like, maybe the one who does the most damage is a little bit more risky. So help him, protect him, give him extra damage. And we're gonna get into why that's really great. But also, you have 15 meters that you can stand between them. I mean, like 15 meters, right? That's what? If you're standing here, right? It would be about there, like 3 of these squares on the ground, right? And that's ridiculous. It's such a long, like, it doesn't need to be like that, guys, but it is. So use it. And going forward, now we have refreshing path. Now this is the last one, other than the ultimate that we're going to get into. Refreshing path is, I mean, it's either this or dark cloak, right? That's my answer to you. If you're asking like, all right, what do I use in this extra slot? Like, what should I have? Like, I think Dark Cloak is probably better, but like Refreshing Path sometimes is just so good, right? One, there's the meme, right? Because you can make people fall off ledges, and as the healer, like that's your only result. That's the only thing you can do to people, the problem people in your group. Put a pathway when they're jumping, and then oh no. Um, but you can see it's fantastic. It's 22 seconds, um, which is, I mean, just stupid. Major expedition, minor endurance, minor intellect. So this increases your movement speed by 30%, anyone who enters it, as well as your stamina and magicka recovery by 15%. The effect persists for 4 seconds after leaving the path. So drop this right on the boss. I mean, like literally on the boss. And everyone will have it. And it heals 2,900, 400, sorry, 2,900 health to you and your allies in the area every 2 seconds. So Refreshing Path is also a heal. You can take the damage one. I actually think I have a build. My last Nightblade build had that. It is outdated, so this is the newer version of that build. But it did have the damage path, I believe, and that was, I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun. Next up is replenishing barrier. Actually, sorry, last up is replenishing barrier, and this is your I'm done playing. I want to stop for a second. I'm gonna alt tab, look at some YouTube or something. Like maybe you're watching this video as a healer right now, and you're supposed to be healing, but you put barrier up, so you got a minute, right? It's 30 seconds, which that's why you got a minute, and absorbs up to 31,000 damage, right? And each time the ward dissolves, you restore 4 ultimate and 1,000 magicka. This is more recovery. This is what it is. It's recovery, but it also is ultimate, because by the time this is done, if you're like me and you see this as an opportunity to stand in things as the healer, you're not entirely wrong. Just don't die in them, right? Just don't die in the things you stand in. But you can stand in things. And if you don't want to stand in things, pop it, put guard on the guy, right? Now, when he takes damage, you take damage, but because you're taking such little damage and you have such a big shield, you're just getting ultimate. You're getting ultimate and you're getting magic, and you can get tons of it. So just do this. You'll have 40% of replenishing barrier, or sorry, of panacea, life giver, before you even finish it. It's a free half of an ult generated while also kind of stopping combat for a whole minute, like not whole minute, but 30 seconds. It's definitely a healer's best friend, I think. And I think it's good in PvP. I think it's good in PvE. I think this thing exists solely as just a phenomenally great ability. If you're not wanting to run this, though, I will say that Warhorn has a good option here, right? And that's the one that gives major force, which is the one that you don't give with replenishing barrier. Aggressive Horn increases max stamina and max magicka by 10%, and grants that 20% extra critical damage for 7 seconds. So that if you really wanted to go into a PvE focus with it, and you wanted to push your group faster, right? Not necessarily protecting, but trying to kill things before they kill you, aggressive Warhorn I think would be the better option. I prefer barrier, but there are options here, and you can definitely trade out a few of these abilities. If you don't like the way, say, you run potions with brutality, sap essence, you don't like the way that works. I think that there's a good reason to run vigor there. You can run echoing vigor. So there are multiple different, versions of what you want that you can definitely fit into this build, but keeping it as it is, I think this is probably one of my this is definitely my favorite build that I've made for healing, and I play it all the time. Sometimes I even forget that I have a warden, and that's my main character, because I'm off playing this. So next up is the champion points, right? And first we're gonna go through this a little bit different. We're gonna stop, not go through craft first, and we're gonna talk about the slottables I have. So from the brink, whenever you heal yourself or an ally under 25% health, you grant them a damage shield that absorbs 2,200 damage per stage for 6 seconds. Can occur every 30 seconds. This is your, hey buddy, look, you did a little bit silly, but I'm gonna make sure you live. It's a damage shield. It's good, and it's for you and an ally. So if you feel like you're about to die, you won't. It's a protection, right? It's just good. I think it's fun to use it as well. It's 11,000 damage of shield, so it's not like a full barrier. It's a third of a barrier, and it doesn't last as long. So you really do still have to play around with it, right? But going forward, we have Rejuvenator. This grants 205 weapon and spell damage. I'm going to read my current bonus from here on out. Weapon and spell damage to your healing abilities per stage. Remember what I was talking about, damage with brutality as well. It's counted as healing. All healing is negative damage. So if you're not sure when it comes to, like, should I take this set because it has damage on it, well, like, you're going to have to factor in a few other things, but when it comes to it, weapon and spell damage, specifically spell damage, is your healing potential. If it's a stamina ability, though, it is your weapon damage, like Vigor would be. Foresight. After you drink a potion, the cost of your Magicka and stamina healing abilities are reduced by 75% for 6 seconds. You're going to be chugging potions. You're a healer. Just get over it. I mean, like, I don't know what to tell you, right? It's an expensive hobby, right? And that's all of gaming, but really, it's an expensive hobby as a healer. You're gonna need consumables, right? You're gonna be drinking potions. Like everyone should be drinking potions, but like you're gonna really need them at some point. So like, yeah, it's essentially a 75% off deal on your next heal. So like, take it. Yeah. To do that, by the way, I want to make sure it's very clear. I went up and got focus mending, and then went up and grabbed this, and then this, which I will point out. This right here, cleansing revival, healing a target under 25% health, removes all harmful effects. Can occur every 24 seconds. This ability here is almost good enough to replace Rejuvenator. Almost. Unless you're in PvP. Do not try to cleanse things like randomly in PvP, right? Because things explode when you do that. So there's a little bit of give and take. If you don't like having the extra weapon and spell damage for healing, I could see cleansing revival being for you. You might as well, if they're under 25% health and they have a harmful effect on them, removing it might just save them, as well as when you heal them, you'll also apply the damage shield. So it's a 2-for-1 bonus there, but that's kind of the give and take on healers. Some people have a lot of us healers have very particular ways we like to play, so I can understand why you might want one or the other. Our last one here is when you begin bracing, you grant a damage shield that absorbs 5,000 for 3 seconds to yourself and can occur every 10 seconds. So, like I said, we're going to be kind of tanky, right? And there are times when the guy you have guarded is just really doing a number on you, right? Like you're feeling it. You're feeling it. He hurts. He's not a fun guy to be around, right? And like you care about him because he's in your group. But like, man, if he could just get out of the fire with guard on, that'd be great. But he doesn't. So you brace and you'll at least take some, you'll fix the issue in the moment, and you can unguard in the 3 seconds and swap targets, or you can, it's a lot of utility that comes with having a damage shield, and we're going to get into a little bit more why as well later on, but like having a damage shield, it really can sort out a lot of problems for you. And so we're going to talk about that whenever we go to the red tree. All right, so coming in here, we first got fortified, right? An extra 1,700 armor. Armor's good, especially as a healer. Like there are just some situations where, I mean, like when I was first trying to build this, I was trying to go light armor, and I was getting shredded up. Man, it was bad. So like, trust me when I say this. Like armor could maybe save you for real. As well as strategic reserve, 30 health recovery every 10 ultimate you have. You're gonna have a lot of ultimate. You're gonna have 250 ultimate. So do the math on that, and you can see that having a lot of extra health recovery may just be what you need in certain moments. You're already having a whole lot of it from heavy armor, but we're going to kind of, boost it up a little bit. Why not? As well as decreasing the time it takes to resurrect an ally by 33% with Spirit Mastery and Refreshing Stride. Now this one here, I've got a critique and also a thing I love about it, right? While sprinting, you have 500 health and Magicka recovery. I think that this is limited. Okay, this is limited to things that you're going to be running through relatively quickly, or if your group is pretty fast and you have to keep up with them, or whatever. Really is if you're moving a lot, I think this is fantastic. Right? It's extra recovery for your mana, and stamina is a dump stat. So like really, I think this is pretty good. But if you're not down with that, right? You're not down with the clown, right? You can definitely grab some of these where increasing the effectiveness of your damage shields, or your stamina cost is lowered whenever you have it. Reduce the cost of stamina shields. I think those are good too. And right here, reduces the damage taken by 10% while blocking and under the effects of a damage shield. You do both, right? This is the one that I think makes the most sense, but it's the one that you're gonna have to determine if you really want to use a shield, right? Because if you're gonna use a shield, Ward Master is so good, especially when you're considering that you're taking 30% extra damage from another person with guard. 10% damage reduction for a couple seconds. It sounds really good, doesn't it? And I think that it can work out really well if you were to replace Refreshing Stride with this. I personally use this one when we're not on the PTS. I've rebuilt this on the PTS, but when I'm playing in my own, I like Wordmaster better. I think it flows with it better. I enjoy the way it plays. And so, really, I would give serious consideration to this, especially if you decide that you want to take a ward spell, like a bubble spell, on your main bar or on your off bar, right? Because if you decide to take one of these, Ward Master is just really good. All right, so moving along here, we're about done with the CP stuff. We have Friends in Low Places. That's a bounty removal, and honestly, something I just kind of picked up. Because really, all you need is Rationeer, which is 30 extra minutes to your food or drink. Liquid efficiency, so that whenever you drink a potion, you have a 10% chance not to consume it, as well as a 20% out of combat movement speed. Really, these are the only things you need. You're wearing heavy armor, so professional upkeep is always a pretty good one. As well as, I'd like to talk about break fall, right? Uh, you're gonna fall sometimes, and especially in those dungeons where you have really really like long falls, like Vaults of Madness, right? Like you can't survive that if you fall and like someone was to path under you at like the right moment, and you were to have jumped and like everything. But like, look, break fall is good because there are some dungeons where you're gonna fall down, and healing is pretty good to keep going, so you really don't want to take a lot of damage yourself, because I mean, you want to shuffle that out to your group. So I think Breakfall is good. As well as Soul Reservoir, right? Whenever you resurrect a player, you have a 33% chance to not consume a soul gem. I think that's great. I'd also like to come over here and say that Out of Sight and Fleet Phantom are very good on Nightblades. And if you decided to go the route that I talked about a moment ago, where you wanted to really use Leech Soul, or sorry, Leech Siphon, right? And you wanted to boost its real power of healing, and you went with the invisibility that crits, reducing your movement speed while sneaking, or sorry, increasing your movement speed while sneaking, and also reducing the meters that you can be detected from. Like, stealth is really not necessarily something you can't do as a healer, right? Like, you're probably the one guy that can. So if you're a Nightblade and you want to really utilize your crits, Out of Sight and Fleet Phantom, as well as a few others I'd like to bring up. For this build, I used Tireless Discipline and Eldritch Insight. I also came over here and grabbed Piercing, right? And the Battle Mastery to increase your chance of applying a martial status effect, because Sunder is really good from the two-handed, right? As well as you can use Charged on your weapon to help proc that as well. I think that when it comes over to here, some of the better ones to pick up are Mystic Tenacity, reducing your duration of elemental status effects by 25%. And, you can really make a whole lot here, especially returning to life with 10% more resources. As a healer, that's great to have. It's not a whole lot, but it's kind of worth it. So if you have things to dump, extra CP to dump anywhere, pick up a bunch of these passives, especially the ones around, I would say, reducing your incoming damage, right? And if you're scared of being shut down for too long, I think Slippery is great, and don't let anyone tell you what they think about Slippery. I think Slippery is fine if you are a healer or a tank. Slippery can get you out of some really sticky situations, right? And yeah, so now that we've gone through like everything, right? we have a few couple things left to really gloss over. And firstly, that's Bogdan. We're wearing Bogdan. And you can see that it's enchanted with health, right? I wanted a little extra health on this build. So this adds 1,000 extra Magicka. And when you heal yourself or an ally, you have a 20% chance to summon a totem for 6 seconds that heals you or heals you and your allies within 5 meters for 2,000 health every second. This effect can occur every 10 seconds. Remember, monster sets can crit now, so that's even better, especially as a healer. So I'm wearing heavy, right? And so I've definitely went full on with it. Every piece of this is heavy. But Bogdan's Night Flame Visage, that's like, yeah, man. This thing is great. And if you consider how it interacts with some of your abilities, right? Look, rapid regeneration's over 5 seconds. What is 5 divided, like, into, if you have 20%, right? 20%, 40%, 60%, 80%, 100%, right? That's a 100% chance. It's not going to happen, but it's a 100% chance. It's just not going to happen that way, but it is. So, like, just know that. There's really good ways of proccing it. There's a lot of fun that can happen with it. Jack once said that he was able to stand in a fire rune because Bogdan had like spawned in it, and so he was totally fine to stand where he should not have been allowed to stand and would not die with Bogdan. So like your mileage may vary. I know Jack's build's just all over ridiculous, but Bogdan it's up there with some of the best. Next is Cold Harbor's favorite. So this is a two pieces. You get an extra 1,000 Magicka, you get an extra 1,000 stamina, and then you get weapon and spell damage 129. When healing yourself or a group member, summon Honor, who after 2 seconds begins healing you or and group members near him for 13,000 health every 6 seconds based on the higher of your magicka or stamina. All right. So it took me, I had to kind of walk through that. Now, when you deal damage, you also summon Honor, who after 2 seconds explodes, dealing 6,700 magic damage over 6 seconds based on your weapon or spell damage. So, Honor has a double use, um, especially whenever you consider that it's an explosion, right? So everything around either gets hurt real bad or healed real good. And for a set like this, seeing that it procs always, like it's essentially every 10 seconds, I see this as a net positive for the build, right? Honor looks like a chicken, so like just be aware of that. So like whenever I press this real quick, let's see if I can get him to proc, and like I don't know why he's not right now. Like, can I get one of you? All right, cool. So it's not happening right now, but it happens in the live game. So we're just gonna roll with it. Honor's great. I think he does great damage as well. So I think Cold Harbor's favorite's a good set for anyone who's looking to pick up both damage and healing. Now, I was talking to you guys earlier when I said the words that I have a set that helps with support, right? And I don't know how long this video's been going for now, right? I haven't checked at the time on it, but what we're doing here is we're wearing Meritorious Service. When we cast a support ability while in combat, we increase the physical and spell resistance of our group members, up to 5 of them, within 10 meters for 3,500 for 20 seconds. So sometimes what you're going to do, okay, is you're just going to walk up to a guy and guard him. Okay? You're just going to walk up to him and guard him. And then you're going to click guard off. And guess what? The buff still lasts. Everyone gets their armor buff, and you don't even have to take any extra damage for it, right? For the enchants I have here, as you can see with Cold Harbor's favorite, all of these are Magicka enchants, whereas Bogdan is health. Everything's Mundus. I would say that you could probably get away with a couple other traits, but Mundus is really just what you're going to want, especially since we're going to be having the ritual on for extra healing. So, boost your healing up as much as possible. Meritorious Service is extra magic, extra health, and then weapon and spell damage. And for its enchants, I picked reduce stamina cost for the necklace, and reduce Magicka cost for both of the rings. And we went infused with it so that we can really lower our cost, right? The other way you can do this, which is I think maybe more beneficial, especially if you do not feel comfortable with this being this low. I can understand that, why you would not be comfortable with your Magicka recovery being this low. It is absolutely way too low in my opinion, and I would probably find a way to boost this. What I would do is I would do the exact opposite. I wouldn't get spell cost reduction, I would get mana recovery and a stamina recovery enchant and keep the infused state. I don't think Bloodthirsty is good for you here. You are a healer, so just get used to infused. As well as, our weapons are both that as well. Their enchants are Magicka, right? Magicka absorption. Because even whenever we're on our main bar, or our off bar, doesn't matter, mana is still very relevant. So, that's what I would recommend. And Divines on the shield. You could go with Nirnhorn. I think that there's a case for that, but I don't know exactly where I would see it. For this, really it doesn't matter what order you put it in, except for Bogdan, right? If you want to use Bogdan, you can't have a helmet or a shoulder. But other than that, I mean, mix and match these pieces how you see fit. Cold Harbor's favorite is a crafted piece, so really, I mean, you can just not have to deal with it, right? All right, so next in line we have what is our race. And for many of you who have already probably seen it, we're an orc. You may be like, all right, why are you an orc, man? Like, you're a healer. Healers don't need to, like, orc. No, you should be an Argonian, right? Look, we gain extra experience with heavy armor, and our crafting inspirations increase. That's nice, but like really what we're here for is the extra 1,000 stamina, for the extra 1,000 health, and when we deal damage, we're going to get back 2,500 health, can occur every 4 seconds. Now, just like think about this, guys. Think about this. What's our big ability here? Healthy Offering, all right? You'd have to use 3 of them to make up for just 1 hit. All right? Orc, hit them, and then heal with the health you got. It's great. It makes sense, but it's a little bit contradictory. Um, as well as, increasing our weapon and spell damage, that's increasing our healing, and reduces our cost of sprint by 12%, as well as our speed of sprint by 10%. Being quick as a healer is great, especially when we're wearing heavy armor. Things can get a little bit finicky with heavy armor, and you can be quite slow, but we have many ways as a Nightblade to fix that, but why not go a step further with the Orc, I think. For our Mundus, I've already brought it up, but I'm going to do it again. We brought the Ritual. This increases our healing done by 13%, and for our food, we actually have a few different selections. Now, I'm gonna say which ones I think are the better ones. Why am I taking a second to figure it out? Here we go. So Bewitched Sugar Skulls are the ones I eat on the live game. They're cheap, they're easy, and most dungeons don't need any more than this, right? Longfin pasty with melon sauce is another one that I've actually been able to get pretty far with because it's Magicka, stamina, and health, which you use all 3 of. If you're running low with your shield, this is the one. For on the other side, we have drinks. Purifying Bloody Mara. Even if you're not a vampire, this is just a good flat stat. I think as flat stats go, this is probably my favorite for this, because it's Magicka and then 5,000 health, and Witch Mother's Potent Brew, right? I think this is your best drink buff. I think this is your best. I think this is your best food buff as well. I think this is your best food and drink buff. It increases your max Magicka by 3,000, increases your health by 3,000, and your Magicka recovery by 315. All right. So like let's just eat one of them real quick. All right. All right. So look, now our our Magicka recovery is 1,000. Our health recovery is 2,000. Our stamina is around 600. We have a weapon damage before brutality, before buffs. We have a weapon and spell damage of nearly 3,000. We have a spell critical and weapon critical of 13.5. We also have a penetration of 4,000 on our both bars. And when we float over here, look, you can see we have physical and spell resistance of 20,000. With a maximum magicka of 27,500, a maximum health of our maximum health of 32,200, a maximum stamina of 15,700, I think that this build can really take on like a lot. And to finish things out real quick, I'm going to go through kind of the rotation while I'm in town, actually, because a lot of these things don't interact with NPCs, which is cool. But when you're starting out, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find a target, and you're going to, well, you're going to not do that. You're going to put on your Siphon Spirit, right? You're going to Siphon Spirit immediately on however many targets are in front of you. So say there's one there, hit him there, hit that guy there. And then you're going to drop this down, and then you're going to put Combat Prayer in the party, okay? Now, next thing you're going to do is you're going to walk up, shield. There's Honor. He's a chicken. You're going to shield, so you get your damage shield around you. You're going to put guard on the nearest guy, and then you're going to drop path, okay? And then by dropping path, you're essentially good. Now, before you go to refresh anything, okay, you're going to first go Siphon, so you can heal, gain brutality, and you're going to go with your one-hander ability, or one-handed shield, deep slash, and then drop a funnel health, okay? This is going to debuff their damage and then increase healing, and then you rotate back over, drop as many healing spells as are required for the party, and when you're back on this bar, whenever everything's up and you're done, right, you don't have anything you have to continue to refresh, you can spam this in a large group, but always throw in a low slash. Okay, so what I do is I throw in one low slash for every 3 sap essences I do, and the damage seems to roughly calculate out pretty well. I don't do a lot of damage with this build. You won't do a lot of damage with this build, but I guarantee you one thing, you aren't gonna die. Alright? You're gonna make it very, very far if you just stick to holding your own, okay? This is a different form of kind of like selfish healing, right? Because instead of putting everything into Magicka, which we have a 32-32 split, I've just said, screw you, I don't know if I trust everyone around me, I'm gonna get 32,000 health, I'm gonna put a shield on, I'm gonna make sure I'm good. This actually, I'm pretty sure, came out of a situation we had where I just kept finding my Nightblade Healer getting one-shot. And I was like, I'm so fed up with it that I'm done. I'm tired of being easily killed. I want to be a tank, but not a tank. And I want to use all the tank buffs to further the goal of healing. And this is why I love Elder Scrolls Online. Because the builds that we have can be of any kind. They can be a healer, a tank. They can be a mix. They can be a damage dealer and a tank mix. Sometimes that works. Sometimes a healer damage dealer mixes pretty well. And if anyone's come to this channel before, that's probably the video you've seen. Most likely from our analytics is that you've probably seen the Nightblade Healer build if you're here. And this one here, I think, is the one I'm more proud of now. This is the updated Nightblade Healer build. And he's tanky. He's real tanky. Thank you all for watching. This has been SpyPie Gaming. If you like what you've seen here, leave a comment, subscribe, and like everything down below. That really helps us in the algorithm and in the system that is YouTube. As well as, don't forget to check out our pages. We have a Twitter page, we have a Reddit page, as well as a merch store now, actually. We have shirts for SpyPie Gaming. So if you want to support the channel and you like the content we're doing here, well, come say hi. And I'll see you all in the next video. This is SpyPie Gaming, and I will see you later.